What does the Washington Post call a close election? That would be a 7-point blowout by a Republican in heavily Democratic Wisconsin. I kid you not. These Democrats are following the exit polling still, saying this thing's going to be a nail-biter. And by 10 o'clock Eastern time, everybody had declared Scott Walker the victor in a blowout by a wider margin than he was originally elected. 7 points. That is not close. That is not a close election. Now, it may not be a total blowout, but it is closer to that than a close election. I'm telling you, the covering up, the rationalization, trying to make chicken salad out of chicken you-know-what, that's what the left, the unions, the Democrats are doing today in the aftermath, the post-mortem of this grotesque defeat of public sector unionism, of special interest politics, of hate. Welcome, everybody. I am Jason Lewis, America's Mr. Right, and we are celebrating, along with the stock market, the Scott Walker victory in Wisconsin yesterday. This really is a good omen. Now, I'm not saying that we can rest on our laurels. I'm not saying that we can get complacent, because what Walker proposed in Wisconsin was so modest that the idea that the big labor folks went into high gear to fight this shows you just how entitled the country has become. We are becoming Greece. You know, they raised the retirement age to 59 and there's a riot. Hello, most people work until they're 65, 66. They're out of touch. The public sector unions have had everything given to them, instant job security, defined benefit pension plans, salaries higher than the private sector, health benefits where they're not contributing to their premiums in any meaningful way, and so you try to trim them just a modicum of fiscal restraint, and they go nuts. They hold a recall election. Well, the good folks of Wisconsin have apparently had enough. In New Jersey, they've had enough. In Ohio, they've had enough. Across the country, perhaps they've had enough. Maybe this proves that you can attack a liberal sacred cow and live to tell about it. Now maybe this will provide a little spine to the GOP, maybe even to the presumptive nominee, Mitt Romney, that you can move the polls without just following the polls. That's what Scott Walker did. In effect, his victory last night is proof positive that real leaders and real politicians do not follow the polls. They change the polls. A poll says your position is unpopular. That means you've got to work hard to convince people that you're right. It doesn't mean you switch your position. The exit polls last night, how far off can you be? It was a nail-biter with 1% of the vote in. We heard breathless newscasters say, get your coffee brewing, it's going to be a long night. Talk about wishful thinking. And then, of course, the Washington Post, no, denial is not, that's an old joke, and not a very good one either, but denial is not a river in Egypt. It is what the Washington Post put in their headline, a close vote in Wisconsin. Now, let me show you when I say there's a sense of entitlement on the left. A woman comes up to Tom Barrett, the mayor of Milwaukee, and now what? Second-time Democratic candidate? She slaps him. You're thinking, well, some right-wing kook going after a liberal? No, it was a liberal who was mad that Barrett conceded. Ma'am, at the point he conceded, Mr. Walker was up by 10 points. What a moron. Then you've got angry liberals, led by the idiot-in-chief, Ed Schultz. Well, we have no idea who's tweeting what. I mean, you heard about Ed Schultz, didn't you, saying that Walker could be indicted in a couple of days. Living proof. I'm telling you, living proof. You do not have to have a GED to be on MSNBC. Nevertheless, angry liberals are now flooding their Twitter accounts with kill Scott Walker. No, kill Scott Walker. I mean, who do they think Scott Walker is? George Zimmerman? For crying out loud, where's the DOJ when you need them? Here, Eric Holder, here's some political machinations you may want to investigate. This gets me to Walker's victory speech, which was good, but this reaching across the aisle stuff has got to be nuanced, if you ask me. And after all, when it comes to congressional races, I am 0-1, so I can comment on this. It's fine to reach across the aisle when you're going after moderate people. And I mean moderate in temperament, in view. It's fine to reach across the aisle if you're trying to reach independents who are sitting on the fence and trying to make up their mind, with an open mind. But think about this. When Walker last night says, no, I don't want any booze. It's time to reach across the aisle. It's time to mend fences. I'm the governor for everybody. I'm going to talk to Barrett. I'm going to talk to the unions. Seriously. You've got people threatening his assassination. You've got the unions now who are doubling down. Their leader, Mr. Schultz, talking about indicting Walker. You've got women slapping Barrett because he gave up too early. What does he want, 20 points? You can't reason with these people. Let me be blunt. These people need to be politically crushed. You crush the public sector unions. You crush liberalism. You crush these hate-filled, anti-capitalist, anti-constitutional liberals. You crush them. You defeat them you beat them like a bad drum like you did last night, and then you say, we got a little more where that came from. Now, that doesn't mean you don't reach across to independence. But forget about the 30% of America who think Madison, Wisconsin is too conservative. Those people are irredeemable. They're a lost cause. We don't need them. Don't reach across the aisle to those people. You do reach across, as I say, to independents. Now, here is what I think the salient feature of last night's victory. As I said at the outset, what it shows is you can take on the sacred cows of liberalism and live to tell about it. You can move polls and not just follow polls. And instead of mending fences, what Republicans need to understand now is that Democrats are all about constituency building or coalition building. That they'll go after the Jesse Jackson, the racist under every bed group to get the black vote. They'll go after growing government to get the public union vote. They'll be anti-energy and anti-American prosperity and high gas prices to get the environmentalist vote. The GOP needs to understand, or anybody else, you know what? These people are not off limits anymore. I'll give you an example of where the GOP should go next. And this is a perfect example. Now we've beat the public unions and lived to tell about it. How about this? If a new report from the Energy Information Administration says that the 4% drop in carbon intensity from the electric power industry was due to using lower carbon natural gas, you might say that's a good idea. The Department of Energy reports that natural gas electric plants produce 45% less carbon than coal. I don't really care about my carbon footprint. I happen to be a big fan of coal, but I'm just making a point. If the lead researcher from the Harvard School of Engineering says that generating 1 kilowatt hour of electricity from coal is twice as CO2 intensive as natural gas, and we're abundant in natural gas, you would think natural gas would be a good thing. We ought to drill for it, right? Have you ever heard of a battle plan called Beyond Natural Gas? I will tell you who came up with this and why they ought to be in the political crosshairs next. More coming up.